everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something really cool. We are literally popping the hood on human relationships. Now, we usually think of trust as this kind of vague moral virtue, right? But today, we're looking at the hard science of exactly how trust is built, broken, and ultimately repaired. Here's how we're going to break this down today. First, how trust actually works. Second, competence versus integrity. Third, why trust breaks down. Fourth, the architecture of repair. And finally, intuition, dreams, and trust. We're taking a journey from workplace psychology all the way down into neurobiology, so let's jump right in. All right, Section 1, how trust actually works, unpacking the biological and psychological definition. To get started, we really need to reset how we think about the speed and the very nature of trust. You know that old saying, trust must be earned? It kind of implies that trust always takes a really, really long time. Well, the science shows we actually fundamentally misunderstand this. Just think about your own life for a second. Why on earth do we sometimes trust a complete stranger instantly, like getting into a stranger's car just because an app told us to? But we might never, ever forgive a close friend for a single lie. Or think about those times someone gives off immediate bad vibes versus someone you just instantly click with. To figure out why that happens, we need a super precise definition of what trust actually is. The absolute most crucial point here is that trust is not simply a warm, fuzzy feeling of liking someone. Honestly, you can like someone and completely distrust them with your life savings. And on the flip side, you can trust a surgeon's competence without liking their personality at all. In science, trust is defined as a willingness to accept vulnerability on the basis of positive expectations. Vulnerability is the magic word here. Without risk, without the absolute necessity of accepting risk, trust is actually completely unnecessary. According to continuity theory, trust is the controlled opening of organizational boundaries. At a systems level, I want you to picture your mind and your life as this highly secure castle. Distrust is keeping the drawbridge up, right? It requires a ton of protective energy and constant monitoring. But when you trust someone, you're selectively lowering that drawbridge. You're voluntarily turning off your internal security system just for that specific person. You are literally letting them inside your boundary to affect your future. Moving right along to Section 2, competence versus integrity, the two distinct gears of trust. So when we evaluate if someone is trustworthy, Peter H. Kim's research shows we're actually running two simultaneous background checks, competence and integrity. In scientific terms, we call this functional continuity versus structural continuity. Just think about it in the real world. A competence error is like your coworker making a typo on a spreadsheet. An integrity violation is that same coworker intentionally lying to you. A spreadsheet mistake challenges their functional ability, like can they actually do the job? But lying disturbs a completely different depth of our trust organization. It challenges their core structural principles. And as we'll see in a minute, these two gears require entirely different types of maintenance. Which brings us to Section 3. Why trust breaks down, the dramatic mechanics of a relationship collapse. So why does trust break down, and why does it happen so incredibly fast? Well, there is this intense, almost unfair asymmetry between building trust and breaking it. It takes years to build a house, but literally seconds to burn the whole shebang down. This asymmetry exists because trust fundamentally requires allowing vulnerability, meaning our brains are hardwired to protect us. Because of this, negative information carries disproportionately greater weight than positive information. 10 years of reliable, wonderful behavior can literally be wiped out by a single severe betrayal. The equilibrium of the relationship hasn't just shifted, it has totally fractured. Let's walk through this cascade so we can really understand the raw pain of a betrayal. Step 1, you predicted they were reliable. Step 2, based on that prediction, you lowered your drawbridge, you lowered your protective regulation. And then, Step 3, they betrayed you. Looking at this cascade reveals exactly why betrayal hurts as much as it does. It's actually not one painful event. It is two. It's a failed prediction, plus the horrifying realization that you voluntarily exposed your own vulnerabilities just to get hurt. That right there is why our protective walls go back up higher than ever before. Okay, Section 4, the architecture of repair. How different failures demand different solutions. If you take nothing else away from this explainer, let it be this. Just saying I'm sorry doesn't work if you apply it to the wrong kind of violation. You absolutely have to match the repair to the failure. In science, there's this fascinating concept called organizational hysteresis, which basically means the current state of a system depends entirely on its history. You can literally never go back to trust 0. You are now forever at trust 1, a post-violation state. So if you commit a competence failure, like an accident or poor skill, you must demonstrate improvement and explain what you learned. But if you commit an integrity failure, like lying or cheating, an apology alone is mathematically insufficient. You must provide concrete evidence of moral change. And look, if you were going to apologize, science has actually mapped out the exact anatomy of a successful one. It requires all of these pieces: acknowledgement, taking full responsibility, providing an explanation, showing genuine remorse, taking corrective action, and setting up future safeguards. If you just walk up to someone and say, "Hey, I feel bad," but you completely skip over those last two, corrective action and future safeguards, you are simply not providing the concrete behavioral evidence required to restore that selective boundary we talked about earlier. And finally, Section 5, Intuition, Dreams, and Trust, Journeying into the Subconscious Mind. Now, let's step away from waking workplace conflicts for a second and get into something deeply fascinating: the subconscious mind. We're going to look at the Brain Kinematics Model and continuity theory. Think of this concept as the actual math of intuition. Have you ever met someone and instantly had a gut feeling or a bad vibe, but you had absolutely no idea why? What's happening is your conscious awareness is receiving the final answer of a highly complex calculation, but your brain is hiding all the scratchpad math it used to get there. It is rapidly crunching hundreds of weak signals. All those weak signals bundle up into what researchers call the hidden trust package. It includes little fragments of relational memory, emotional valuation, threat estimation, and inferred intentions. The crazy part is, we don't always need conscious, explicit facts to distrust someone. Sometimes this distributed package of memory and threat evaluation reaches a critical threshold first. A microexpression, a slight shift in tone of voice, a tiny similarity to someone who hurt you in the past. Your brain calculates all of it in the background and hands you a feeling. This leads to the ultimate internal tug-of-war. Fast organizational prediction, which is your gut feeling based on those little fragments, versus reflective organizational prediction, which is your conscious, logical evaluation. This explains that exact agonizing tension when these two systems disagree. It's when everything looks absolutely perfect on paper. Their resume is flawless, they said all the right things, but your gut is screaming, "No way." Your fast system is picking up on discontinuities that your reflective system just hasn't consciously identified yet. But here is the absolute craziest twist in the science of trust, and it happens when we are totally unconscious. During REM sleep, the external relationship you have with someone becomes an internally generated simulation space. Even when that person is physically miles away, your brain is actively reorganizing that hidden trust package. It's combining memory, emotion, and threat, completely recalibrating your relational predictions for the next day. You are quite literally deciding who to trust while you dream. So we've covered the psychology, the boundary systems, the anatomy of a real apology, and the deep neurobiology of exactly how we calculate risk. Knowing all these hidden mechanics, knowing exactly how our drawbridges fall, how betrayal exposes us, and what specific behavioral evidence is required to rebuild, I want to leave you with this. How will you handle your next broken trust? Will you demand the right kind of repair, or will you listen a little closer to the math of your own intuition? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to dive into our next topic together.